speaker today is Tom Baker, a professional counselor, teacher of A Course in Miracles, and former Catholic priest. So that pretty much runs the gamut of the humanities, spirituality, theology, and Christology. It's almost as if Tom just kind of stepped in from the Middle Ages, having completed the standard trivium of grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and moving on to the quadrivium of arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. Or do I have the wrong lifetime? In any case, Tom has accumulated much wisdom and many insights in his travels, and we look forward to hearing from him once again today. Please welcome Tom Baker.
Is it water today? It's water. Adam's ale. Oh, well. When I was growing up, there was a used car salesman who used to say, "A stranger is just a friend that you haven't met." He also said that he would give the cars away, but his wife wouldn't let him. Now, there was something very wrong about what this man said. That in effect, if you became this man's friend, he could take advantage of you. Lonely, naive people probably patronized his car lot. But underneath his manipulation was a truth. And the truth is that we are all right now in love with each other. And our deepest consciousness. Now, in the consciousness that we're most aware of, we're just afraid of each other. That's why you have stage fright. I feel that my judgments, I project my judgments onto you, and then you judge me back, and I get nervous about what I think about myself. Isn't that awful? That's silly. But the truth is that we are all deep, deep friends. Now, as enemies, the way we are in our country today, we can only raise objections. The left and the right are enemies. No wonder Congress can't get anything done. It's all objections. Our conflicts obscure the truth that we are one people, one nation, under God, who is love. Love created us like itself. Love created us as love. That's our nature. Our temperament is one of fear. But our deep, deep nature is one of love. Now, so we keep treating each other in terms of our temperaments rather than our nature. That's why in every circumstance, trying to figure it out won't fully work. But if we love first and then problem solve, the results are much better. That's why people like this church, because when you walk in, you're loved first. You're not asked a lot of questions. Do you believe in the Immaculate Conception? Do you believe in the crucifixion, that it saved us from our sins? Do you believe in original sin? What do you believe? What are you about? Excuse me. Those questions are never asked here. So you feel welcomed. You feel like, hey, they want me here. That's good. They even ask about my birthday. My birthday is next week. I forgot to stand up. I'll be 72. Thank you. See, you applaud. That's love. Love to the speaker. Now, the ego says says, that I must get to know you before I decide to love you or even like you. The ego, which thinks of love as a combination of attraction, judgment, and sacrifice, never commits itself to another's true nature, which is love. Look at that dog. He's drinking your water. That's a sweet thing. When I love you, I am simply affirming that you are love and deserve only love, and that is what you are. When we start with love, we start with the truth of the person. When we first fall in love with someone, we project our best selves onto them and see them as an improved version of ourselves and everybody else. We idealize the person. That's why when you first fall in love with somebody, they can't do anything wrong. And you can't do anything wrong. And McDonald's is a spiritual experience. It's amazing. Everybody is wonderful. Well, when the honeymoon is over, we go the other direction and become the other's harshest critic, making ourselves the standard of behavior and belief. In other words, we say, if you would do it my way, it would work. If you could see it my way, it would be true. If you could think of it my way, it would be wonderful. And then we make the startling discovery that the other person really is another person. We then start criticizing that person so they can get in line and be like us, the way they were in the beginning. I call this the narcissistic standard. If you remember the play My Fair Lady, Professor Henry Higgins sang a song, and his song said, "Why can't a woman be more like a man?" And we all laughed because we know, first of all, a woman can't be like a man. And then we know that we don't even want them to. We think it's funny, but we keep doing it. Now, although most of us are not clinical narcissists, hopefully, the ego is very narcissistic in that it believes it is the only one who really exists as a person. I'm a person, you're an object. Your behaviors, your education, your how you dress, your appearance, that's all my ego sees. It doesn't see the wonder and the mystery that is you. Now, this usually becomes a crisis in marriage and the raising of children. Interestingly enough, though, we often love the child just for being born. You ever noticed that? We don't ask the question upon the child being born is, where did you come from? Why are you here? Why did you choose me? We could do that, but it would be futile. The child would only cry or laugh. You know the way babies are. They don't understand. Now, I'm not a parent, but I work with parents in my counseling practice, and I see lots of dysfunctional families. There's a kind of honeymoon for the newborn, which lasts until the terrible twos, in which the child is no longer admiring of us in a way they were. Harshness sometimes enters at this point. But instead of building boundaries and guiding the child into sympathetic and empathetic behavior, we introduce rules into the relationship between the parent and the child. Now, there have to be some rules, like don't pee in front of the neighbors and things like that, Pull up your pants. But the child starts believing that love is something to be earned rather than something that's given. Dysfunctional families are full of rules and no love. Think about that. It's always right or it's wrong. The child does very well until the doubt arises in the child's mind, am I loved or am I not loved? That's where all of us are all the time. We always are wondering, do they love me or do they not? Do they like me or what's wrong with me? That's our question all the time. Now, this makes for good citizens, but for relatively unhappy people. When I taught the 7th grade, I tried to figure out why the students behaved the way they did before I loved them. I implicitly said, you behave and I will love you. Oh, I would favor the behaving child. Now, my classroom was relatively tense and it had lots of rules. It was a dysfunctional classroom. The children were nervous. I was nervous. It was a bad scene. Now, the teacher across the hall had an orderly, relaxed classroom. I asked her what her secret was, and she smiled and said, "Oh, I just love them." And I said, "Really? Is that it?" And she said, "Oh, no, you're right. That's not quite right. I love them first. Before they even come in, I love them. I stand behind every desk and I bless it. And I bless the child who'll sit in that desk. They know they're loved like my own children. That's mainly it." You don't often see it, or perhaps we don't often notice it. But when love comes first, things tend to work out happily. Now, in order to love consistently, there is a condition. In order to love consistently, we have to have a mind and heart of abundance. Most of the time, we have a mind and heart of scarcity. I'm not enough. I myself am not enough. I don't have enough. You aren't enough for me. We even teach children that there's not enough. Someone told me last week about the church they went to and how it had free ice cream after church. And they overheard a father instructing his son that there is nothing free in the world. Everything and everyone has their price. All things must be paid for. There's no free lunch in this world. And the little boy looked up at the father and he said, "Yeah, Dad, but there is free ice cream today." Later, they saw the father licking away at a free ice cream cone. There are notable exceptions to every rule. The obsession we have for ourselves, our self-image, what others think of me, how am I doing, am I okay, our preoccupation with me and what I want comes from a feeling of separation, of not being loved first by others. If I don't feel loved, then I revert to self-protection, self-promotion, and self-obsession. Not good things. I become proud and insist I must be right. The final command of Jesus was not love those who were like us, or love those who attract us, or believe in what we believe. It was simply love one another. No reasons, no exceptions, no excuses. Love first, and all good things will follow. Now you'll say, well, that doesn't work. In real life, it doesn't work. Well, what we're doing now isn't working either. War doesn't work. Hatred doesn't work. Apathy doesn't work. A lack of enthusiasm doesn't work. You'll think, all right, well, I've got to love others first, no matter what. How do I do it? The how is always the hard question. It's easy to know what to do, but it's hard to know how to do it. That's why for the last 40 years, that's right, 40 years, can you imagine that? I've been teaching A Course in Miracles. Next month, on September the 11th, that's an easy day to remember, we'll be having the Course in Miracles here at the fellowship. I'm bringing my group over here. The ARE is closing on Sundays, so I'm not going to do it anymore from there, so I'm coming here to do A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is about forgiveness. In order to love someone, you first of all must forgive them, and if you're going to carry that love on, you'll have to trust them as well. The Course teaches those things. It teaches that we are love, and we are created as love, for love, with love, in love. So it is possible. It's possible in your life that you probably, in ways that you probably don't remember. The children that you brought up, the friends that you've had, the people that you loved first, and then you did what you will. That changed everything for you. You have self-confidence today because of people loving you. Isn't that amazing? When you lack self-confidence or you lack self-esteem, you're usually remembering times or places where people did not love you, in which you felt rejection, or you felt abandonment, or you felt afraid. Our job here on earth in these times is to love one another. What if we all gave ourselves that job? My job with you is to love you. As a result, many things will work out if I love you first. We all know this from Jesus. It worked for him, and it will work for us. Thank you.